Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel, and today we have got yet another first for the channel. So before we look at the gun, I just want to say, as usual, if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please do it now because we do appreciate your support. So today, another first. Now, despite the fact that these guns are absolutely huge here in the UK regardless, and they're very, very big in the States as well, this is actually the first time we've looked at a Caesar Guerini on the channel. So the gun I've chosen today is one from the Invictus line. Now, the Invictus is absolutely huge here in the UK. They're only built in competition specification. By that I mean kind of trap and skeet guns. And before we get on with the gun, I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of background history about the company itself. So Caesar Guerini was actually founded only back in 2000, start of the millennium, and I can remember when they very first came into the UK, and to be fair, they absolutely took the market by storm because what they did is they produced these fantastic looking, very elegant game and sporting guns with side plates. There was the Magnus model, the Maxim model, the Summit, which was case colour hardened, which was a very popular clay gun back in the early days. What they've done since then, they've kind of evolved into producing proper world-class competition shotguns like the Invictus. Now, the Invictus model was launched back in 2014, and what Guerini did with the Invictus line is so revolutionary, and when we take the gun apart in a second, you're going to see why. So this particular gun is an Invictus 1 M-Spec. Now, there's been an awful lot of input from world-class shooter here in the UK, Richard Faulds, very, very heavily involved with Guerini. I'm not entirely sure if he's got shares in the company or not, but he certainly should have. Only very recently won the English-British Sporting Open. He's a Caesar Guerini shooter, has been for a number of years. And I understand that this particular model was kind of the brainchild of him in many terms of the specification. Typically, the Invictus 1 model that is still current is a silver action with this kind of blue bit in the middle. The M-Spec comes completely in black, and if we start off with the action, it is absolutely superb. You've got a nice kind of synergy of this cool scroll work. Looks like a load of wagon wheels, and then we've got a Caesar Guerini badge in gold, and then like I said, the contrast of this highly polished black stuff on the top. Nice bit of scroll engraving. Doesn't look dissimilar to a Fab Arm. There are similarities, there's no question. If we turn it over, Invictus 1 at the bottom. Again, nice bit of scroll work, a few more wagon wheels, nicely done on the trigger guard. And you can just see, just by looking at this gun from 10 yards away, it is absolute quality. The finish is excellent. There's not many guns of this price point you would look at that would have the same quality of blue in particular as you will get on a Caesar Guerini. So hats off to Guerini for that. Continuing with the action, we go to the top lever. Again, it's a kind of scrolly design. We've got a little bit of border work going into the back strap where the selector is. Selective trigger. Some of the early trap guns, I'm not sure about Invictus, but certainly Maxims, etc., had non-selective triggers, which is not uncommon with Italian guns. You see it on Parazzis, you see it on Berettas. This one is selective. It's a sporting model. Obviously, it's got a manual safety catch. But again, very nice blued top lever. We're going to continue with the action. I'm going to take the gun apart and show you why this gun is so clever. So what Guerini did, they came up with the idea of making the gun more easily serviceable, more maintenance friendly. So in this action here, you have got the Invictus block, which is patented. And the idea with that is when the barrels are in the action, it takes out all the play that continued use, recoil absorption does to a gun, because let's not forget, it kind of shakes it to pieces. And when that block is essentially worn out, it is just taken out and replaced with another one. It is so, so clever, but so effective. I believe that when they first launched the Invictus line, which I think was back in 2014, like I said, they actually came with a guarantee of being able to shoot 1 million cartridges. So that is a bold claim from a manufacturer that had only been, at that point, manufacturing competition shotguns for 14 years. Other than that, it doesn't look that different to if you take one of the earlier model Guerinis, like a Summit, like a Maxim. The whole of the inside of the action is very similar until we come along to where the hinge pins would typically be. So what I mean by that is, I mean the hinge pins where the barrels hinge on and where they push up to close the gun to lock it up. Again, what Guerini did is they came up with this idea of producing cams. So they did away with the hinge pin system and they put the cams, but they're actually fixed onto the barrel. So again, as a consumable item, as a replacement part, it's an absolute doddle. All you've got to do is take these screws out, replace the cams as and when the gun wears throughout its lifetime. So what it's essentially doing, the combination of the block and the cam system, is it's just adding increased longevity to the lifetime of this gun. In the States, I believe these come with a lifetime warranty. I think it's certainly at least 10 years here in the UK. And again, if you look at the range of guns that they've now got, it's a little bit like Fabom. Like I said, there is a link between the two companies. Because they're not an enormous scale manufacturer, what they can do is they can play around with specifications, they can listen to what shooters want, and I'll move on to that when I discuss some of the other models shortly. So for now, let's concentrate on the M-Spec. This gun was available in 32 or 34-inch barrels only. The idea was it was a long-range sporting gun for those extra long targets, and also kind of fit-ask and that kind of stuff. So traditionally, or initially I should say, they were only available in fixed choke variation, 1/2 and 3/4 choke. This gun has been Teague multi-choke, which we'll move on to shortly, but just carrying on with the barrels. So you can see the very clever cam system there. You've got some engine turning, nice big lumps on the bottom so it locks into the action nice and solidly. Caesar Guerini made in Italy. We have got 18.6 bores, ventilated rib, ventilated barrels. Interestingly enough, we've got a 10 to 6 mil tapered rib, which is something you don't tend to see. The only gun I can actually think that also has this rib configuration is a Krieghoff KT Supersport from memory. Tram line in the middle, centre bead which has been taken out, standard white bead on the front. Barrel weights aren't stamped on this, but they do feel quite light, which again would add to the fact that this is a long range competition gun for sporting clays that, you know, adds that maneuverability to long stuff. So like I said, this gun's been Teague multi-choked. So what I mean by that, if you don't know and you don't watch the channel, where have you been, is what they do at Teague here in the UK is they take a fixed choke gun and they produce a series of thin wall chokes dedicated to this particular gun. And what that does is then gives you the addition of having the versatility of a multi-choke without having to compromise the balance of the fixed choke barrels that you initially started off. Again, very, very clever stuff. Talking of chokes, if you haven't already seen the Essential Guide to Chokes video that we've done, do check it out. More information about chokes in there. So there you've got it. You've got a Teague choke there. Super, super lightweight stainless steel with the serial number of the gun and the denomination of the choke. This gun comes with a series of those. We'll look at those shortly in the box. The innovation and the clever stuff doesn't stop there. So while I've got the gun apart, we'll just look at the forend. These mixture of wheels and screws and locking lugs and stuff in here, which looks a little bit like the bottom of a Thomas the Tank Engine train if you had it on a track. I understand it's something to do with self-tightening. So again, as the gun wears, you are able to yourself, or of course take it to a competent gunsmith, take the wear out of the gun before it gets too much by replacing these parts and adjusting them accordingly. Clever, clever stuff. So as you would expect, this gun's not very old, about 3 or 4 years old. It is steel shot proof. CIP steel, not high performance, because you wouldn't really expect it in a gun like this. We'll do the balance test. Remember, we've got the addition of those Teague multi-chokes, so if it was factory balanced with the fixed choke barrels, it should be exactly where we want it, which is on the hinge pin. Look at that. Absolutely spot on. Believe it or not, even though it is a 32-inch gun, it only weighs 8 pounds 3 ounces. But again, that's all to do with the fact that we want a fast-moving gun for those long-range targets, but we want enough weight to be able to steady the barrels and maneuver the gun nicely. So testament there to the input from Richard and the fact that these guns, full stop in terms of the Invictus range, are so successful. A couple more things to mention in the hardware, if you like, the metalwork. So the trigger is adjustable. It adjusts simply with a little Allen key. I think it's a little Torx, which is in the box. Nicely finished in gold, which I think really complements the gold badge on the side with the Guerini branding. Nice. And then also we've got that bit of engraving on the bottom of the trigger guard. This inletted piece on the forend, which is technically metal, and push button, which all Caesar Guerinis are. Every single Caesar Guerini model has a push button forend, which is as straightforward as you like. Nice positive click when it goes back together. Again, you can just feel every bit of this gun feels quality. There's no question about that. So moving on to the woodwork, we have got an interesting stock height. We've got 37.57, so it's a little bit on the low side compared to most. Nice thickness of comb there. It does feel really nice in the face when you mount it. We've got a pistol grip with a nice palm swell. We've got these quite little funky dropper points in amongst the double point checkering. So the checkering itself looks sharp, looks crisp, feels crisp, but all at the same time, it's not fragile. Like I said, some of those Italian guns, they're just checkered too sharply and the points fall off as soon as you pick them up. I've experienced that in the past. Wood itself, nice, strong, straight grain, European walnut. This gun itself has been fitted with a Kickies recoil pad rather than the original Caesar Guerini recoil pad. The actual feel in the hand is fantastic. It's got a nice palm swell, but it's not particularly thick. I've not got massive hands, but it does feel really good. Nice tight radius here. Again, I would imagine that on this particular gun, this is all standard gear because this is what Richard wanted in terms of his involvement with the manufacture of this gun. Just to finish off, where your hand position is there, my hand in particular fits in the top of the comb absolutely perfectly. Rounded style forend. I've seen a lot of Guerinis with beaver tails. They're available with schnabels. Again, we've got a manufacturer that listens to shooters, wants to know what they want. You know, the desired design on this particular gun, because of the style and what it was designed for, has come out as being a round, inoffensive forend, double point checkering, and we've already talked about the standard push button forend. So like I said, this is the M-Spec. There's a number of Invictus guns in the range. They do the Ascent, which has got the step rib. They do the Impact, which has got a high adjustable rib, Monte Carlo stocks. There's also barrel and stock weighting systems. There's a lot going on with Caesar Guerini. And because the Invictus, a little bit like the 694 Edge Bretters, if you like, is dedicated to only serving competition clay shooters, every feature that goes into that gun is thought out massively. So moving on to the box, Guerini in this particular case have gone for an interesting bright red. I mean, you're not going to lose it. If you happen to think, oh, where's my Guerini box, and you open your car boot, it will be there. You'll be able to see it. A bit different in the design. It's very compact. It's got the clasps on the top with combination locks. So if we open that, again, nicely finished inside. We start at the top. We have got the stock bolt. It must be at least 4 or 5 videos since I told people to stick the stock bolt at the back of the stock and tighten it up. So now's the chance. Okay, Caesar Guerini branded, very smart. We've got Caesar Guerini branded barrel and stock socks. And it's just things like this that, you know, they kind of go the extra mile with the presentation, because ultimately, yes, you're not going to use the socks on a day-to-day basis, but, you know, it's all about making the customer feel special, particularly with this M-Spec. It's kind of an interesting gun away from the standard Invictus range. So they're going to pull out all the stops. So the case is top to bottom covered in this red foamy sponge, nice and secure, nice and safe for transportation. It's interestingly got 3 cutouts. You've got one for the stock, one for the barrels and the forend. So the barrels and forend actually sit vertically in the case. We talked about the Teagues. This gun has got multiple Teague chokes, okay? So if you didn't know, they're available in flush as well as the extended chokes that are currently sticking out at the end of the gun. And there we go. Once again, just to confirm, we've got the serial number of the gun, the fact that it's this particular choke is HP steel as well. So lots to choose from then for every type of target. There's a box full there, and there's a box full there. And if that wasn't enough, there's some extra ones in tubes. Okay, so many Teagues. And then in here we have got the goodies. You know, I all like to rummage through the manual. Look at that, we've got a Caesar Guerini iron-on badge, and then some barrel stickers, slightly crumpled. So this is the important bit. Invictus 1 black, M-Spec sporting, 1276, 81, which is the length of the barrels. Fixed choke. Something else I don't understand in Italian, but I'm sure it means excellente. Serial number, caliber, barrel length, what the chokes were originally before it was altered by Teague. The fact that it's been inspected by this gentleman here, and there's the date of manufacture, or date of sending out the door, whatever, 13th of the 11th, 2020. Yeah, so it's got all the bumps, got an unopened manual. Obviously, that shows how good the Invictus system works, because they haven't even had to open the manual to find anything out. And that is it. That is the Caesar Guerini Invictus. First time for Caesar Guerini here on the channel. Invictus M-Spec. If If you've got any questions about any Caesar Guerinis, please do get in touch. Details are on the screen. If you've got a Caesar Guerini, comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, because we do really appreciate you doing that. And from me and this Italian Stanley, the first Caesar Guerini on the channel, there will be more. I'll see you next time.